1968, the Folsom Redemption is a traveling exhibit that I scheduled over 2 years ago. Needless to say, I never thought that so much would be going on in our local community as well as internationally, so that a lot of people couldn't get the opportunity to see the show. So what I'm hoping to do is kind of show you from start to finish how we're going to put the show together. I'll introduce you to some of the people here at the Pence Gallery and walk you through some of the photos, hopefully giving you an insight into Johnny Cash's idea of why to do this concert, what he brought to inmates, as well as some of the repercussions from his live concert. Now, here we have the cover album, Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison. This is a reproduction of a shot taken, I believe it was by Dan Push, who is one of the photojournalists who's in our show. But you can see that it's kind of a side portrayal of Cash. His face seems pretty hot. You can see the sweat is pouring down. He plays for a long time in front of the inmates, and he plays in their cafeteria. And you can see from the background photos, they've set up kind of a makeshift screen for him to play against. And needless to say, the inmates loved it. And you can hear them cheering in the live concert. For those of you who are interested in how all of this works, how do we put together exhibits, most of the time we have to work from scratch. We work with the artist, we talk to them, we do our research, we do some writing, and then ultimately we select the work for the show. Usually an exhibit has a theme, of course, kind of like how any novel might have a plot line. This plot line actually was decided ahead of time. This is a photography exhibit. These are photos that were taken in 1968 and 1969 by two different photojournalists. The subject matter, Johnny Cash. So luckily I have a binder for this show, which is a really cool thing. It has lots of resources here. This was an exhibit put together by Exhibits USA. They're out of Kansas City. They do wonderful shows where basically they give you the art, they ship it to you. It has a theme, it has labels, it has wonderful resources. For this show, they actually put together a bunch of books, CDs, of course, because Johnny Cash is a wonderful musician. Johnny Cash was a wonderful musician. He's no longer with us, unfortunately. And together, all of these resources make up a traveling show. Traveling shows are expensive. A lot of times nonprofits can't afford them. Bigger places like the Crocker Art Museum might do many traveling shows. For us, I've only done 2 in 14 years. This is an exciting show because, again, it is focused on the musician Johnny Cash, who not only was a musician but also was a poet. He was really a wonderful person who was very grounded in his faith. He loved music, of course, and I love the story of this particular show. Johnny Cash in 1968 was just coming back from having been in rehab, divorcing his wife. He had just married June Carter. Johnny Cash starts on a wonderful kind of reemergence of his career, what they call the redemption, which is an interesting way of saying it, really. At this point, Johnny Cash decides to do a live concert. And this is a very controversial idea, not so much the live concert part, but where he does it. Johnny Cash decides to go to Folsom Prison, and it was based on an idea he had. He saw a film when he was very young and in the Army, and it was on Folsom Prison. And it's a fictional account of some inmates at Folsom Prison. So he decides that he's going to choose Folsom Prison. He does a series of 2 concerts there in January 1968 with June Carter Cash, as well as many other musicians who now have become very famous. And then he releases this wonderful live album. The live album doesn't include all of the songs that he played that night at Folsom Prison, but it does include most of them, including a song written by one of the inmates, Glenn Shirley. Here I'm in front of some of the boxes for our show that just is going out, our Watercolor National Juried exhibit. It was a big show. We are ready for Johnny Cash. Glad to get these out of here today. And next we're going to be spackling the walls, painting as we do between each show. And then we're going to be doing the exhibit layout a little later with Barrera. Tim is our preparator, which basically means he handles all the art. And with this particular show, there are very set restrictions on climate control. There can be no food or water around the show. You're supposed to handle everything with gloves. So we'll put it together, hang it on the wall, and then we'll put up our labels.
I've been here about 4 or 5 years at the Pence Gallery, and should be a pretty straightforward, easy show to hang. It's all arranged and everything, and so hoping to have it up in a couple of days. First of all, I'd get all the works that I feel go together and arrange them, group them, and then arrange them in the show. And then as you have groups, you might have 2 groups that are different, but they're grouped, then you might either have a conjunction piece that goes well with one group and goes well with the other, or somehow get them to link up. And so, but you group them first and then put them up.